It's hard to know exactly what comes to people's minds when they think about organizational change. But one thing that probably doesn't cross their minds is that change is a huge billion-dollar industry. This giant industry has produced a long list of best selling change models, books, buzzwords, papers, programs, and of course, survey instruments and questionnaires. The change management industry is somewhat of a cult, with its shining star gurus and its starry eyed disciples. These gurus, together with their book publishers, training companies, consulting firms, consultants, and even academia, zealously protect their interests in this very lucrative enterprise. Protecting their interests requires change management establishment to paradoxically ignore or resist change and reinforce the status quo, precisely because they do not want things to change. The security and success of the change management industry can be attributed to three primary tactics. Number one, claiming that 70% of change initiatives fail. Number two, preaching that people resist change, that dogma. Number three, marketing numerous change management models. Organizations and managers are alarmed by the high failure rate. They're threatened by employee resistance and confused by the many change models. And therefore, they turn to universities, consulting firms, consultants, and trainers out of desperation. But here are some interesting facts. The 70% failure rate is a lie. Employee resistance to change is a myth. And the popular change models are not based on the science of organizational change. The 70% failure statistic is simply a scare tactic based on an unsupported rough estimate made by one writer in a paper published in a non-peer-reviewed magazine. Additionally, it has been known for many decades that resistance to change was originally a system phenomenon that was somehow reconceptualized as a human trait or characteristic. Finally, and most shockingly, the popular change models can be traced back to the fields of psychiatry, sociology, and counseling. These fields studied maternal deprivation, paternal abuse, dysfunctional families, the grief cycle, the diffusion of new technology in a population, and even the censorship of pornography. And if this was not enough, change management also operates under many myths and misunderstandings about human nature, individual and organizational behavior, psychology, and neuroscience. It's time we euthanized change management and replaced it with change leadership based on the post-industrial paradigm. Change leadership is not contaminated by the superstitious learning, tribal knowledge, or faulty assumptions that inform change management. Change leadership consists of four basic dimensions: relationship, engaging people in collaborative mutual influence, which neutralizes the resistance and the resentment responses. Two, psychology of change, consciously and sequentially satisfying the 8 human needs associated with change. Number three, profound principles, internalizing, personifying, and integrating profound knowledge of scientific principles based on theory. And number four, learning, conceptualizing change as a developmental dynamic in which collaborators learn and grow together. Finally, when we adopt a change model, we also are adopting the underlying assumptions of the model's creator. Furthermore, change is predictably constant. It is not linear and cannot be controlled or managed. This is why change models are inappropriate and ineffective. Change leadership recognizes that knowledge is the prelude to change, and that change is best addressed by integrating profound principles and understanding the psychology of change. In closing, change leadership enables collaborators to design an inquiry-based change guidance system to guide their thinking and their actions. Change leadership acknowledges that we are endowed with an orienting mechanism and an exploratory reflex, and accepts the unquestionable fact that people are adaptive, resilient, resourceful, creative, and innovative. Change leadership is an influence relationship among collaborators who intend and enact real, significant changes that reflect their mutual purposes. In the end, knowledge is truly the prelude to change.